House music, R&B, hip hop, pop, reggae, EDM, indie, old school, and sports talk. Right here, StarHitRadio.com.
Welcome to Connecting Atlanta Radio, where we are live on World Star Hit Radio, my specific radio station. My channel is Connecting Atlanta Radio. Anyhow, we have a very special guest that I've had an opportunity to interview in the past, and I'm excited to have him on again, Mr. Relationship Specialist and Celebrity, YouTube celebrity, ChazzEllis. Welcome to the show, Chaz.
What's up? It's your man, ChazzEllis. I know somebody already heard that.
Do you still go by Ask ChazzEllis, or?
Well, my name is ChazzEllis, but the channel's just Ask ChazzEllis. Right. So some people will call me that from time to time.
Okay.
But it's just ChazzEllis.
So you have a lot of stuff going on. You recently moved to Atlanta.
Right.
So how are you liking it over here right now?
I love Atlanta. It's pretty cool. I always used to travel down here anyway, so I was pretty familiar with the area. Atlanta's real cool. It's real laid back. I'm from a place called Knoxville, Tennessee. That's where I lived for most of the time. A little bit different, smaller town, you know, but it's where I called home for a long time, so it's cool. But Atlanta's different. It's a culture shock a little bit. Busier, faster.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, if anybody wants to call into the show and ask ChazzEllis any questions, they can dial 404-969-2057. So tell us a little bit about what makes you a relationship expert.
I think everybody is an expert on what they believe and what they think. So, like, I don't really necessarily say I'm an expert on relationships, but I can say what I am is I'm an expert on what I think about a particular situation and what I've been through in my own life. So all I do is really just try to take things that have happened in my life, things I've seen, heard, and just give people that information, and they can kind of believe it or not believe it, or it may be useful to them, it may not be. So it's not necessarily like I'm even trying to tell them I'm an expert. It's just what I'm saying, this is what's happened in my life, this is what I see, this is what I think, and then you be the judge.
So you do have a lot of people that are sending you questions, asking you some questions and so forth, and we actually have a couple. One I am going to mention. So you don't just get questions from women, you get questions from men as well. And one of the questions that you received recently was a guy asking you, should he expect sex on the first date, especially when he pays?
Right, okay. Well, you can expect anything you want in life. And my dad used to always say you can expect in one hand and crap in the other one and see which one fills up first. So, yeah, you can expect sex on a first date when you pay, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it. So you can expect to also be disappointed a lot too. When you go out on a date, I always say this: do what you want to do for somebody. If you want to take somebody out and spend a whole lot of money on them, do it because that's what you wanted to do, not because you were trying to impress somebody. If you go out and try to impress somebody, you're going to be left feeling upset and feeling like you got cheated because you may not get what you want out of the situation. If all you feel like doing is going to McDonald's, then take the girl to McDonald's. If all you feel like doing is having a picnic outside for free, then that's what you do. And you don't really worry about necessarily the results. Just worry about what you did on the date. So, you know, if you're doing something expecting to get sex out of it or whatever, you're going to spend a lot of time disappointed.
That's annoying anyways. I don't like it when a guy is just trying to impress me just to try to impress. I'd rather just him be himself and be able to give whatever he can, you know? And if I like the guy and all he can afford is to take me to like McDonald's or something like that, then so be it. I'm not going to care either way. You know, if I like him.
You're not going to care at all?
I would rather him make a picnic and like hang out, you know what I'm saying? Or come over and hang out at my pool. Or I don't necessarily want to go to a fast food restaurant because that's not part of my eating habits. But yeah.
What if he let you get the big fries? I mean, it's not just the dollar menu. You get the big fries also. Does that change things? Is there a status, you know, based on what you get to order? And you're like, girl, get whatever you want. You ain't gotta order off the dollar menu.
No, because I'm always conservative when I go out. I don't try to.
How can you be conservative at McDonald's though? It's like
I know. No, you
gonna get the big $7 bill, girl?
No, because then I'm gonna look like I'm trying to gorge a lot of food, and I don't want to look like that either.
Oh, you say you don't want to look like somebody.
I'm gonna get the salad.
Okay. Get the McDonald's. Well, if you get the McDonald's salad, you might as well get a Big Mac because it's like the same calorie count.
So, but leading up to that, so I would think that if a guy has that expectations, if he's just going to be paying for it anyways, why doesn't he just get a prostitute instead?
Well, that's a good question. I think a lot of guys don't want to actually pay for sex, but they want a guarantee, which is kind of, you know, it's kind of sad really when you think about that. It's like they don't want a guarantee, but they want a guarantee. They want to feel like, you know, I did something. I went out and bought some food. I did this or whatever, and I gained something, rather than, you know, a prostitute who just have sex with anybody with $20 or whatever. You know, I think a lot of guys don't want to take the risk, don't want to do the work, but they also don't want the prostitute.
They want a little bit of a challenge.
A little bit of a challenge,
but
not too much. Right.
Right. That's kind of how, like, I try to stay away from pork, but I still do like pepperoni on my pizza.
Like, I don't eat that pork, but I will eat some pepperoni, though. Is ribs pork? No. Okay, that's good.
So that leads up to the recent news that came out, I think, today or yesterday, in regards to Charlie Sheen, who was an avid prostitute goer.
Right.
And recently contracted HIV. So one of the things that I had heard about him talking about and his story in his interview today was the guy had asked him if he had sex with two women unprotected after he contracted HIV, and did he notify them ahead of time? So I don't know if they were non-prostitutes or prostitutes, but anyways, the women did agree to have sex with him unprotected, knowing he has HIV positive, and he said they were closely monitored by his doctor. But why do you think women would put themselves in that harm's way and just to be able to, you know, get laid, I guess, from Charlie Sheen? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think some of it is about that, like, I want to get laid from Charlie Sheen or whatever. But I think a lot of people engage in self-destructive behavior that seems to be about one thing when it's really about another. I don't know these women, but for somebody to say, I'm going to have unprotected sex with somebody that has HIV, and and also just to know, you know, some of his background, some of his lifestyle choices, you know, you're probably not thinking you're going to be married to this dude and end up with him for the rest of your life and say, hey, I'm willing to take the risk, you know. But for them, it might be a situation, and I say this about anybody, a lot of times self-destructive behavior is a form of suicide. You know, just like somebody might drink themselves to death or just eat a bunch of crap, never exercise, drugs, all those kind of things. Sometimes that's a form of suicide, you know. And that might have been the same thing for them. Just like he's going through a lot of these different issues and he has a lot of these things going on. They might be in the same boat, you know. We don't know how damaged they are. So. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. So I just feel it's just kind of sad.
It is.
So now you had also a woman who had asked a question as well. And let me get back into my phone. Okay, this is a great question as well, because although I know it is not, I find vulnerability to be kind of a weakness for myself. But how do guys see vulnerability in women, and do you think it's good or bad?
I think vulnerability can be good. I think mostly it is good. I think just being yourself and opening up to people. You have to open up to somebody for them to really love you or really care about you. You can't keep a wall up in front of you for the rest of your life and expect people to ever get to know you.
Right.
So I think there's a difference between being vulnerable and being overly emotional, or not having control of your emotions in any way. You know, to be vulnerable is to say, hey, I do have emotions and I am a person that thinks, feels, and I can tell you what I think and what I feel, and, you know, just put it out there. I think sometimes people will mix up being vulnerable and being overly emotional and being emotionally aggressive. You know, I think being vulnerable allows somebody else in. Being emotionally aggressive is like, I'm going to push myself onto you, you know, and I think that can be a problem. But I think guys do like vulnerability, do like somebody that they can say, I see what this person needs and wants, and I can try to feel that.
Right.
A lot of women are so afraid to be vulnerable that they don't let a guy know what they need.
Right.
I don't need no man. I don't need nothing from nobody. I can do it all by myself.
I don't never say that, but yeah.
You know? and they that's just what they put out there, you know, in their personality. You know?
Right.
And then they wonder why they get a guy who doesn't have anything to offer and doesn't want to give anything. You just said you didn't need anything.
Right.
That's the type of person you attract. Somebody had nothing to give.
We attract who we are. We attract who we are. So here in Atlanta, now that you've lived out here, you guys have been here for about a year, right? I think it's been about a year. So now that you've lived here in about a year, and the dating scene is crazy out in Atlanta, and now you've had a chance to, I'm sure you've been out in the communities and out and about and stuff like that, and you've seen both men and women out here. They say that the ratio to men to women is like, I don't know, whatever it is, but it's a lot more single women here than there are guys, single guys.
Right.
So do you think it is based off of that? I don't really find a problem in it, but based off of that, do you think that a quality woman will have a hard time finding a quality guy here in Atlanta?
It depends on what you mean by quality. And also the thing is that if you're a quality woman, there's going to be about the same amount of quality high-level women as there are high-level dudes. And the thing about it is there's just not many people operating on a really high level anyway, where they, you know, want a relationship, good people, do well in their community and well for others and care about other people. There's not really just a ridiculous amount of those people running around anyway. So it doesn't necessarily matter that there's not a ridiculous amount of single guys here. You know, you're going to be able to, you stick out. If you carry yourself a certain way, you treat people a certain way, and you just be the best you can be, you're going to stick out.
Right,
you know?
right. That's a great answer to that. I think that's something that's important, because I think that a lot of women, they hear all these statistics and the stereotypes, and they just hear all this stuff, and I feel like a lot of times they get discouraged, and then they turn around and just accept whatever is thrown at them, you know, and come in their way. So what about the other way around for guys? I mean, I guess it would be the same answer, right?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you hear statistics and things of that nature, you know, I remember Reverend Ike once said, Reverend Ike, he was like, you know, whenever people tell me about a recession, I just say I choose not to participate.
Right.
You know, and I think that's whenever I hear something about statistics, they don't have to apply to you.
Right.
They don't have to matter. You know, somebody said, I remember when I was a kid, a teacher said something about you have a better chance of being struck by lightning twice than making it to the NBA. And I was just thinking to myself a few years later, I was like, does that apply to Shaq? Like, what if Shaquille O'Neal was sitting in this room? That applies to him. How many 7-footers are walking around that you see? So, you know, that doesn't have anything to do with you. If there's 1,000 women in a room and one guy, you can't worry about how many women there are and who you have to compete with. You worry about being the best you can be and how you stick out as you.
Right.
You know, and that's the same thing for guys. You can't worry about somebody else and statistics and all that other crap. That doesn't have anything to do with you.
That's true. It's crazy because we always get what we focus on, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was listening to an interview with Mr. Herkovich from the Shark Tank, and he was talking about he's an avid race car driver, and one of the things is he had crashed a couple of times, and he was like wanting to figure out what he needed to do differently, and they said stop looking at the wall, because every time you start to lose control, you're staring at that wall because you're about to hit it. But if you stare on where you want to go, and I feel like that probably has the same thing to do with like in relationships for both men and women, whatever we focus on, good and bad, is what we're going to receive in our lives.
Right.
And what we focus on, I guess, on ourselves. So.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you focus on somebody cheating on you, if you focus on somebody breaking your heart, you know, they call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. But, you know, that's kind of like, you make things happen in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You do things in your life. You set the wheels in motion a lot of times when you start thinking about certain things. If you think about positive things, you start setting those wheels in motion and you start pushing yourself towards that. You know, they call it the handlebar effect also. If you, you know, whatever you look at, you're going to steer your way to. And we wonder why it keeps happening. So.
Right. Not like the handlebar mustache, but just the handlebar effect.
Yeah, just the handlebar effect. The handlebar mustache, I saw a few people with that. That was cool too, though. Especially like they have like, you know, the grease at the end.
Oh my gosh. I could not date a guy with one of those mustaches.
You
Horrible
said no
to me.
handlebar?
No handlebar mustaches for me. Not even in Movember. So
I can't really grow a beard, so I'm like, whenever I see Movember comes along, I kind of feel jealous and I start hating on other people. I hate on their beard.
You just have to grow whatever you can, I guess.
Right.
So what is it? So what led you up to becoming, you know, to building and doing something on YouTube and creating your channel and being passionate about helping both men and women and guiding them in their relationships or answering questions or whatever?
Well, I always was really passionate about helping people. And I've been through a lot of different stuff in my own life. So I know that it could be something as simple as a word. You're not going to help everybody, but it could be something as simple as a word, or you could talk about something that happened with you, something you've been through, and it can really touch somebody's life, you know, and really put them in the right direction. A lot of times, as human beings, a lot of times we're a little bit too humble. Like, we don't want to feel like sometimes we don't feel like we have anything to offer. And we don't feel like we have anything to tell anybody else or anything that somebody else can feed off of and grow from. But the reality is you've been through an entire life, you know, so we've all picked up certain things. It's just whatever our perspective on our life is. You know, and for me, the reason why I got on YouTube is because I was like, you know, I do have a unique perspective based on my life and based on the things I've been through and the things that I believe. So why not try to give that information out to somebody and possibly help some people? And, you know, I didn't know it was going to be where, I didn't know I was going to help that many people or that, you know, people watch it that often, but I figured it would be something I could put out there and possibly help somebody.
Yeah, that's awesome. We actually had a caller that we missed, so we're going to call them right back and see if we can get them on the line.
If it's my mama, tell her I missed her.
It's a Georgia number, so,
okay. Cool.
So we're going to call them.
Cool.
Right, I can't hear anything, John. I don't hear it ringing or anything.
Does it ring?
Hello? Hi, did you call in to speak to ChazzEllis? Okay. Oh, there we go. I can hear you now. All right, we have you. Hi, what's your name? And we have ChazzEllis on the line.
Hi, my name's Jacqueline. And I was just wondering, like, you know, your perspective on relationships is so awesome. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity now. I mean, you really helped me so much in my relationships and my point of view and everything else. Why do you think it is that other men don't give their perspective on, you know, besides, you know, act like a lady, think like a man? You just don't hear a lot of other guys kind of saying, you know, their perspective on relationships.
That's a good question. Wow. And, you know, thanks for all those things you said. That was really nice of you. I'm glad I was able to help in some way. The reason a lot of guys don't give their perspective on relationships, there's a couple reasons. A lot of guys are angry. You know, just like you see a lot of angry women, there are a lot of angry men too. But also there's a fear factor too. A lot of guys feel like if they come out there and they give their truth as far as relationships are concerned, that they're just going to get bashed, beat on, you know, and just, you know, so there's a fear there. And a lot of guys don't feel like they can say certain things. They can come out and give their perspective because they don't feel like a lot of people want to hear the truth. For me, I know that a lot of people don't want to hear the truth or my truth, but I'm going to say it anyway because, you know, I just never cared about that. I never cared about people getting mad at me.
Well, thank you for calling in, Jasmine. We hope you're enjoying the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jasmine.
So talking about that, and kind of we had, and thanks, that was great. That's a great question that she asked. One of my questions for you is the twist of the vulnerability thing. So are guys afraid to be vulnerable to women? Do they think that women would see that as a weakness? Because although for some reason I see that as a weakness within myself, I don't see that as a weakness within someone else.
Absolutely. A lot of guys are afraid to be vulnerable around women because they don't want to look soft. They don't want to be taken advantage of. A lot of women think that a guy is just a player, or he just doesn't care about anything, or, you know, we have no feelings as men. But the reality of the situation is, for every guy you see, you know, with that hardcore exterior, you see somebody whose heart has been broken, who has been through it just like you have. Well, we have to, and I always say this, you know, I don't know if I can say something there. Can I say assholes?
You just did.
Okay.
But it's okay, yeah. We're not being censored.
Cool. Assholes beget assholes, you know.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, we meet certain people when we're younger. We meet certain people at different times in our lives. You know, it may be when you're in the 9th grade or something like that. A guy may get his heart broken, and he feels like I was too vulnerable. I tried to do too much for this girl. I opened up too much and told her how I felt so early, and then she just stomped on me. So the next girl he deals with, he's going to be a little different towards. He's going to be more and more closed off and aloof. Mm-hmm. And that might make her chase a little bit more. And, you know, but she gets hurt by that also. And now the next guy she deals with, she's like, I'm not going to show him my heart. Mm-hmm. You know, and it becomes a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. So
vicious cycle.
Vicious, because it gets worse and worse. And you get people over years and years and years, they build up these huge walls that people have to scale, you know, and it's like, it makes it hard for us to get to know each other, get to come together. So
let's talk about what is in the future. So 2016 is right around the corner. Mm-hmm. So what are you trying to accomplish here in Atlanta, and where would you like to see yourself career-wise within the next, you know, year to 2 years?
Well, I'm one of these people who I always just try to do what I'm doing, and not necessarily focus so much on the results. And not necessarily, I do like to give myself goals and time frames to a certain degree, but you just never know. So for me, I do try to focus on just what I'm doing now, but I would like to really pick my acting career up a little bit more while I'm here in Atlanta. That's why I came here, or one of the reasons why I came here. I'd like to grow the YouTube channel a little bit more.
Which is Ask ChazzEllis all together.
All together. Just type that in, you'll get me. You know, and just keep helping people. I want to do more seminars. You know, so because that's something I want to travel doing them. I know y'all asking me to come to different places, Europe and all this. I'm gonna try to get out there for you.
But they gotta book your ticket. They gotta book the room, and they gotta pay you to come out.
Listen to Jackie. Listen to Jackie.
So, well, that's awesome. So how can people find you and be able to ask you questions and so forth? Tell our audience that. You can go Ask ChazzEllis on YouTube, Facebook, the ChazzEllisProject.com. You can get a hold of me in a lot of different ways, but that's pretty much it. Just any one of those. And I think we have just one last question. Okay. Hello, are you on the air for ChazzEllis?
Cover.
Wait. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, my question is, I find that in my 20s, I find that I'm attracted to persons who are not somewhat older than I am. I'm thinking why. I dress appropriately, I wear clothes that cover my body, and as I told you one time, I look like white and t-shirt. I'm just wondering, why do I attract these kinds instead of guys who are all my age? I don't understand. Can I hang up or should I stand the line?
Okay, I got you. What you said basically, why are you attracting these guys who are older and married and basically unavailable guys?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and hang up and let him answer the question. Thank you.
a lot of people ask me questions like this. Why do I attract this type of person? Why do I attract that type of person? The reality is, if you're putting a good product out there, I'm going to call it that, you're going to attract everybody. You're going to attract all kinds of people. You know, so yes, you're probably attracting some married folks. You're probably attracting some older guys and stuff like that too. But the thing is, not to focus on the people that you're attracting that you don't want, but to focus on the people that you do want. Because a lot of times it's not who we're attracting, it's who we're saying yes to and who we're giving attention to. You know, we might look at it like, oh, why am I attracting all these married people? But the thing about that is, you could be attracting somebody else, you know, on the other side that may not necessarily be feeling everything, all the different requirements that you have. So you're focused on the married dude, you know, and that may be the person that you're giving your time to. Or maybe it may be because the married guy he may be a little aloof, and that may attract you. There could be different things about that are attracting you to that person and causing you to not necessarily see some of the available people that are there for you. So that's one of the things I would say. Don't necessarily focus on the people who you see yourself attracting, but focus on the people you want to attract and the people you want to be around, the people that you would like to have. So if you don't like getting married guys and all that kind of stuff, you know, just look at what aspect of them you like for you to be talking to them. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome. Yeah, so we get what we focus on. So, okay, so people can find you on YouTube, Ask ChazzEllis. They can find you on Facebook at Ask ChazzEllis, on Twitter as ChazzEllis. So if you have any questions, follow him on there. If you have any questions, relationship questions, hit him up on his inbox, on his fan page. That's where he answers his questions. Chaz, I just want to say thank you so much for coming out to the World Star Hit Radio station and on my Connecting Atlanta show. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in today and for your questions. And I hope that you all have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.
The hottest music, R&B, hip hop, pop,
I still get you.
reggae, EDM, indie, old school,
Side, check it.
and sports talk. Right here, StarHitRadio.com.